This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories.
And welcome to my review of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. If you have not played the game yet, then do not watch this video, because I will be both discussing spoilers and playing spoiler-heavy content in the background, and that will be starting from this point. So, again, if you have not caught up on the game and beat it, at least the main story, because that's all we'll be talking about, then I would not recommend watching this video. And yeah, honestly, this was an incredible game. I love this far more than the first one, and think they did just such a better job making it. I think the story was even better than the first one, and I did enjoy the first one, but I think that both Kraven and Venom were incredible in this. The biggest complaint I have is I wish that we had more time with Venom, because I think it was only the last 3 to 4 hours of the game that he really is in. And although it does have a black suit storyline, I just feel like everything with Venom was just really interesting and crazy. And it is just, a little disappointing that we didn't get more, because everything with it was really incredible. But to go into the story, I'm first going to take a look at everything with Kraven. And Kraven was really an incredible villain in this. He posed not only a serious threat, but also was very intimidating, and you definitely could see how serious he was with him killing off multiple Spider-Man villains. And the ones that at least I could figure out he has killed off, and I'm pretty surprised it's this many, is Electro, the Shocker, Vulture, and the Scorpion. And I'm surprised that they actually killed off, 4 villains, all 4 who were in the previous Spider-Man game. Not the Miles one, but, just the regularly titled Spider-Man one. And that was just really crazy. And I couldn't believe that they just killed off so many major Spider-Man villains. Although the Electro one is kind of vague, although when I listened to it the second time, it was clear he was killed off. And it looks like, at least based on some out-of-map stuff, that the Rhino was also intended to have been killed off, but they didn't include that in the game, so it seems that the Rhino is still alive unless they decide to change that. So it really could be either way. But Kraven was just a really intimidating threat, as I said. I really love everything with him, and honestly, I think that it was just a great part of the game. Kraven was just a great antagonist, and we've never really seen him depicted in, well, really anything besides a few of the shows. And here he just posed such a serious threat, and yeah, it was really awesome. Going into just a few other things from the story, I want to mention I love the dynamic between Peter, MJ, and Harry. You can definitely tell that they're old friends, and that Coney Island segment was really nice just to see how they became such good friends, and it was just a really nice little section. I like those little sections you get where you just get to see into the characters' lives, and it wasn't, the most exciting thing ever with gameplay or anything, but it wasn't nice, it was a nice little break from the action. You get to see a little more of these characters' lives and character development. it also had some really unique ways to use the PS5 controller, and it definitely seemed like this was made to the benefit of the PS5 really in every way possible, including using the controller to do really just so many different things. If you look at it, there's parts where for the basketball section you're using your controller to aim the basketball, which is just something that's really unique and I've never seen before. Although I won't buy anything from EA Sports or play anything of their games because those games are just scams and they try to charge as much money as possible for basically the same product every year. So no idea if they integrate that into the sports games, but it is pretty unique and it felt like kind of you're playing the Nintendo Wii for a minute, which is something that kind of brings you back if you ever played on that console, since it is probably the most unique console I've ever played on. But still, I think that it was just really nice to see that. You don't get to really see as much of Miles' life. You don't get to see parts of it, but you mainly see Miles as Spider-Man. And although I think it's funny that you don't get to see as much into Miles, and it is a little more focused on Peter. I am more of a fan of Peter as Spider-Man, just to have known longer, and is honestly a character I think of, with how much he's been, how big of a character he is. Definitely deserves to get a little more of the spotlight, and they both have had their own game, and although it is, let's do both their games, well, both their not games, but I still think that it is a pretty solid balance between them, although it is a little more in terms of story focused on Peter. But honestly, that was a really nice part. I think that it was definitely cool to see them. But moving on to probably the best part of the game, and when I have everything else is basically solid and is really positive. I'd say best part it is clearly something impressive to me. It's everything with Venom and just starting off Harry as Venom. I think that it is pretty interesting and a unique choice. As far as I know, they've never had Harry be Venom and fight Peter that way. He has been the Green Goblin before, but we've never really seen Harry Osborn be, well, just Venom and be a, not full-on villain, but a little more sympathetic and just being fully controlled by the symbiote, which is taking his goals to do good and turning it around. Typically, it's Harry wanting revenge for Peter either defeating or seemingly killing his father. And that's usually the big thing with Harry Osborn becoming a villain. But this one, it's a version that really does care about Peter, and it's just a Venom symbiote that is controlling him. But everything was just really cool. The entire thing with the black suit was just awesome. I loved everything with the black suit. And I just love how it just felt more powerful when you were fighting with it. Like, it felt more like you were playing as kind of like Batman with Spider Man's powers instead of playing as, just Spider Man. It just felt like when I'm playing the game, the hits hit harder and he was being far more brutal. It was honestly just a really nice part, and when I replay it, I'm going to definitely spend more time playing as the black suit because I just didn't really have too much time to play as it because I wanted to finish the main story quickly. I do like that they also gave you the anti-venom suit, so if you started getting upgrades for symbiote abilities, you'd be able to keep them. And they just, they had to do something because there was no way they could add the Venom symbiote in and give you symbiote abilities and then take them away after you lose the symbiote and it becomes Venom. But yeah, the everything with Venom, it was truly incredible. As I said, it breaks the formula of the previous two games where it has sort of two factions fighting against each other and just has Venom fully take over after his incredible debut, which I'm using as footage in this after I have played the boss fight between Spider-Man and Kraven. And yeah, that was just amazing. They included this rampage and you getting to play as Venom. That was completely unnecessary. It was probably the best part of the entire game too. Just to get to play as the villain. It was so cool and then went to the part where I was really surprised they went to this now where Kraven gets brutally murdered in the game after you just destroy him as Venom in a boss fight and eat his head off. It is just really, really crazy. And after that rampage through Oscorp and then throughout, I believe it was Times Square, I think it was just, I mean, it was just really insane and fun. And then once that point goes on, it goes to a crazy full on alien invasion, which had just so many fun and unique parts. Probably my favorite boss fight outside of, the big ones. Like, the main bosses of Venom and Kraven are the three ones where it's just really unique fights where in one you get to fight Peter as the symbiote with the black suit on and you're being Miles. That fight was just really unique. I was, hoping it would be in there. I was like, there's a chance they might not do it, but I just really wanted them to do a fight where Miles has to fight Peter in the black suit. I'm so glad they did, and only thing is, I wish they had sort of, on both sides where you maybe start out as Peter fighting Miles, and you're beating him back pretty good, and then you have to switch over to Miles to try and snap Peter out of it. But that was, I said, it was just a really cool fight. And then the other boss fights I really loved is the second Kraven boss fight where you fight him as Venom. But I'd say the best one outside of those major ones, and fighting Peter has to be when you fight MJ, who is taken over by the Scream symbiote. And that was honestly just a crazy moment. I was wondering if they were going to do it or not, and do it to one of the characters, and doing it to MJ was really nice. And her trying to, just take out everything on Peter, but her also realizing that, she had her own problems. I think it was really nice. It also helped move the two characters closer together, and I really love everything between Peter and MJ in this. They both, obviously have their own connection, and they all have their own flaws. But it was really interesting to see, and I think that it was just so cool because that boss fight was just really fun, and then you see, like, MJ kind of doing stuff to, she didn't really agree with Jameson and her really hating him. Personally, I love Jameson in these games because he is just comedic gold, and the other one being things like the Dan cast. It's just, I don't know, it just feels like exposition there. But Jameson always makes me laugh. I always have such a fun time with him. Obviously, he's in more an antagonistic light, but it's always just fun to see Jameson. Well, it's just with the other one, it's just, okay, that happened. But Jameson, always just a highlight of the game. He is such a great character, and although I'm pretty sure it's not J.K. Simmons voicing him, it still is a really good voice actor, and obviously it's no J.K. Simmons, but really, I just really love that performance. It was a really fun performance. And just going into everything else with Venom, it was really cool to see, this kind of alien invasion and the two Spider-Man having to fight him off. The symbiotes were very powerful enemies, and you really just have to find unique ways to go and fight them. And once you did, start figuring out these different methods you could use, it did get, a little easier, but not, super easy. And they can very easily overwhelm you. I love that you get the anti-venom suit, as I said before. It gives you the abilities to use the, anti-venom abilities to use the same things you did when you played with the black suit. And going into some other stuff I really loved, I think it was a vast improvement over the MJ section. It was actually, fun to play this time, and it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I have to do this. It was actually interesting. You get to be able to defend yourself, and you have like a little bit of health, and can fight back against, Craven and eventually the symbiotes, and that's just really nice because in the first one, it is like, okay, you have to do this, and when I first saw it in this one, I'm like, they're seriously bringing this back? And then they just fully fixed it. They made it so much better, and it was actually fun to play. I really just can't believe how much they listened to how many complaints people had about that segment, and managed to do it, but do it so much better. But yeah, honestly, it was really fun to play as MJ, and it just really got better each time. As you get to play, have to play full stealth, but also have to, like use stealth takedowns. But if you do get caught, you do have a chance, and that was really cool. Getting upgraded from just having the taser to having the spider webs included on, and then the sonic cannon to go against the symbiotes, and I really did like that. I think that it was just really cool to see that. And almost every playable character was really fun to play as. I think the only one that really wasn't was the character's name is Haley, and that was it was just basically like a walking simulator where you have to spray paint walls, and I don't know, it was just personally something I didn't enjoy too much. Also, didn't make sense to be using the same can of spray paint since you can't really change the color in that, but it's a gameplay mechanic. But honestly, that was probably my least favorite so far, and that was a side mission, but it's one of the only ones I did. The one thing is, if you're playing it, you probably should finish some side missions because I went almost straight story, and I haven't edited it yet, so you can probably still see it by this point. You can see had a lot of deaths against all the different bosses, the main ones, because I didn't get all these tokens and stuff from other quests to upgrade my focus bar and my health bar and stuff. Until kind of the end of the game where I did do a few side quests just to have just a little bit of an edge fighting Venom, and that really helped out because I feel like probably would have died a few more times if I didn't really upgrade my health too much or be able to get a second bar of focus. And that really helped I did die still a few more times, but I think it would have been a lot more often, and if I did more side content, I would have been able to do even better. And on a few of them, it was literally just me getting taken out by like a single hit before I had a chance to heal. And if I just had, an extra bar, I might have had that extra time. One of them, literally, I was trying to heal, and Venom managed to grab me and took the rest of my health, which was, kind of disappointing, but I was really annoyed because I had to restart that entire section from the beginning when I was right at the end and literally needed like a second more to heal. But yeah, honestly, I think that this game is so much fun. There's so many other things I could talk about it. As I said, Miles, although he was not as major in the story, was still fun to play as. And especially when you have the suit on, you can definitely feel the difference in gameplay between Peter and Miles. MJ again was really fun to play as also, and her sections of the story were actually well done, as I said, especially compared to the last one where it really was not something you would look forward to when playing. I like, all the characters included and how the characters from kind of Peter's circle and Miles' circle are kind of crossing together and working together. And looking at Harry again, I didn't talk too much about him specifically. I talked about him as Venom, but not just the character of Harry. And I really loved Harry in this, and it was just really cool to see him being friends with Peter, getting to see some of his past, and then you get to see just him kind of evolving and becoming Venom, but still wanting to be Peter's friend, even though Peter's like, I'm not going to be with you if you're Venom. Really, it was just really amazing. And looking at, honestly, the part that I think was just so unique to this universe is just how much Norman Osborn cared about Harry. Because I think, in most continuities you see, they have a lot of problems, and Norman's usually more of a cold father. But in this one, you just see he loves his son so much and wants to do whatever it takes to go and save him. You definitely feel really bad for him, and you can see how he could be blaming the Spider-Man for putting his son into a coma, not knowing they actually saved his life. And it's sort of like, the reverse of what happened in the Raimi trilogy, where Norman now just really hates Spider-Man because of a misunderstanding where he didn't, get the full context, but it looks like he will be becoming the Green Goblin in the next game. I don't think Harry will become the Green Goblin because they're not going to do, I think, a double Harry becoming a villain and being redeemed because Harry's a good person. I think fully out of his grief that Norman's going to kind of go mad and become the Green Goblin. We'll see kind of him fighting Doc Ock, who will be trying to get, revenge on him once again because we get an amazing post-credit scene where Norman goes to prison trying to figure out the identities of the Spider-Man to get revenge on them. And Ock basically just laughs at what happens and is like, I'm not going to tell you. Not like the Vulture did out of respect, but literally just to spite Norman because of how much he hates him. So I think that we could see, a war between the two of them in the final game, and I think the Green Goblin will be just really awesome to see. I really can't wait to see what they do with that because he wanted to, get I think it was the G serum, which will eventually be the, Goblin serum. And we're saying Norman's either going to test it on himself or he's going to be attacked by Aki and it's going to be somehow get into his blood. But yeah, honestly, I really can't wait to see what they do with Green Goblin in this because it looks like that'll be crazy. And just with how great these games have been, I have full confidence in them. I still put this kind of beneath Arkham, but still, this is really incredible. I still really want to do, some more side content. Not sure if I would have done any last night, but I might do some today. As I said, it was just really fun, really interesting and intriguing, and I really just can't wait to see what they do with everything because I really just had such a great time while playing the game. It was just such an incredible game. And the final reveal of Silk at the end, I think that'll be an interesting character to see. I'm not really sure if it'll be expanded with her in DLC or potentially a Miles sequel because we do have at the end Peter going and temporarily retiring. And I think that'll be until the third game where he's going to be forced out of retirement to deal with Norman Osborn becoming the Green Goblin. So I think that's ultimately what will happen. And the one thing I'm surprised by that didn't happen in this is I thought that Peter was going to propose to MJ to marry him in this, and we would see the third game kind of start off with their wedding. But I guess they didn't, and I think it still would have been a cool thing to add in, but they have moved in together, and there was a nice progression in their relationship. And that was a really nice part of the game. And I think that's really all I want to talk about. I really love this game. Oh, I almost forgot to talk about Mr. Negative because I was literally just about to finish up and I was like, what other footage should I pull up? And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't talk about Miles and Mr. Negative. So yeah, honestly, Mr. Negative, that was just a really great story for Miles. And I think there was something that necessarily really needed to do. It was really necessary for him, with him first wanting to get revenge and then ultimately being able to not only forgive him, but for them to work together. I think that was really great, and having a redemption story for him with him realizing he was just blinded by his rage and he became a Norman Osborn, hurting people for his own selfish gains. I think that was just a really great thing, and I honestly think it'd be, really cool to see him in either DLC, maybe a mini spin-off or something. But the one thing that makes me think we're probably not going to get a Miles Morales 2 is just the fact that they have the Wolverine game coming, and I think they're going to probably make Spider-Man 3 after that. I'm not sure if it's the same production crew or not, but I think that it'll probably will be. So they really do need to kind of, spread it out, and they have to have kind of both of them be there. So I think that it would probably won't be that. I think we will, if we get anything, we'll get a DLC expansion to this, like we did for the previous game. But honestly, I don't think we'll get a Miles spin-off again. Mainly because I think they're just going to want to start working on Spider-Man 3 after they release the Wolverine game. But if it is two different crews working on it that just work at Insomniac, then I think that we might get a Miles one where it helps progress the story a little bit, and we will see him defending the city while Peter is retired. Maybe even have that, a proposal between Peter and MJ in it. And I'd love to see MJ's podcast kind of be thrown in alongside of Jameson's and the Dancast, I think. But yeah, honestly, this game is really incredible. I just really loved it so much, and I honestly want to know what you think because it was such a great game. The fight between Venom, it was a really long boss fight, but it was a really fun one. And the fight with Craven again, it was really fun. all the boss fights and everything. It was just such a fun game to play. The game looked beautiful, and honestly, there's really not any major complaints besides I just wish the stuff with Venom and the kind of the symbiote invasion was a little longer. But honestly, I do want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories.
Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.